I just finished wrapping up my video with Toyota after Q3 results came in for 2025. They are absolutely crushing it. They have huge demand for most of their models. They are not relying on electric vehicles whatsoever to boost their numbers. And that didn't matter whether the EV tax credit was ending or not. Toyota just didn't have any EVs to sell by the time the EV tax credit was over. They're waiting for their new EVs to come in, the refreshed EVs. Yes, Abe? It's a water bottle. You want to sit up here? Oh. So we have sales numbers for Honda that we're going to digest now, sift through, and see what's actually happening for Honda. We have the Japan Mobility Show coming. They are revealing a new model, and it is a small EV. It can be mildly successful if it's priced right. I think Abe's already trying to get off. If it's priced right close to the Nissan Leaf, and if it offers as good of range and or as good of efficiency and bang for your buck and dual motor all-wheel drive, it could have the Leaf at least a really good competitor to the Leaf. All right, so oh shoot, he's got the keyboard. All right, hopefully that worked. Let's get into the sales numbers here, and we're going to start with the Accord. The Accord's down 12%. All right, we just saw that the Camry's up multiple percentages this month. All right. And again, the Accord is having issues with the production in Marysville, Ohio, as well as the Integra, as well as the Rest in Peace TLX. All right, so no surprise seeing that the Accord is down. We're focusing on month-over-month change. So right here and the far right as well. He's commandeered my keyboard and mouse at this point. All right, the Civic's up 3% on the month. That's great because it had been sliding. Look, it's down 1.7% on the year. So the Civic's fine. It's sold 185,000 units so far. I'm kind of curious on what the Corolla has sold. It's still outselling the Corolla by about 6,000 units. All right, so we're going to see where the race ends between the Civic and the Corolla, but as of right now, the Civic is looking to outsell the Corolla this year, which doesn't always happen. If we look at the CRV, we have to compare it to its chief rival, and that is the Toyota RAV4. The Toyota RAV4 is printing money despite it being the old design. So the CRV is outselling what it did last year. Keep that in mind. The CRV is up 3% on the year, and the CRV had a record-breaking year last year. The RAV4 had a record-breaking year last year. The CRV sold, I think it was over 400,000 units. Now, they're on pace to beat that. Can they keep up the momentum? I would say it is possible that they could keep this momentum going, but look, it's heading in the wrong direction. They had a slip last month, down 2%. Now, there is a ton of availability for CRV hybrids in my area, and I would assume nationwide as well. Maybe demand has cooled so much on the CRV that sales are starting to drop on it. That's just a guess. It's not a huge drop, but if it keeps going this way, they might not beat last year's 400,000 plus sales tally. Again, the CRV is down 2%. Meanwhile, the RAV4 is up 17%. Huge difference. Huge difference. The RAV4 is gaining momentum before it gets redesigned and this month or next month. And they're both up about 2%, 2 to 3% on the year, the CRV and the RAV4. Fascinating. They're going in different directions as we enter into Q4. HRV, that's even down 0.3%. And I'll tell you why. HRV is built in Mexico. So one, tariffs, that can throw a wrench into anything built down there. That's not stopping the Tacoma for Toyota going guns blazing. All right. But the HRV is about a wash this year. However, you have all this volume as well. So about 20% of the volume from that Celaya, Mexico plant is going to the ADX, where in theory there's higher profit margins. Acura sold almost 12,000 ADXs this year to complement the HRV, which has 115,000. I don't think we're going to see much like a record-breaking sales year for the HRV or anything like that. Odyssey, this is a surprise. Toyota just posted a 50% gain on the year for the Sienna and 17% gain on the month for the Sienna. We know Toyota has been amping up production this year for its hybrid minivan. And I love the Odyssey. If fuel economy is not the most important thing to you, Odyssey does everything else better than the Toyota. Ride quality, NVH, luxury, build quality, typically, etc. Everything in performance. Everything is better on the Odyssey except for fuel economy. All right. And maybe looks. That's a bit subjective though. It's up 20% on the year, but it's down 8% on the month. This vehicle is built in Lincoln, Alabama, so I'm not sure why it's down 8% on the month. Hopefully it rebounds next month. And it's not like they have a new Odyssey coming anytime soon, even though this one's been out, since 2018? Let me double check. Yeah, the 5th gen came out in production started in 2017 as a 2018 model. It is really long in the tooth at this point. With the Honda Odyssey, I do like the 10-speed auto in it. It's silky smooth. Everything about it. It handles like an Accord, and it has VTEC V6. I just love this van. It's so much fun, and it just takes care of the family really well. Anyways, watch all the videos I made with it with my long-termer late last year, early this year with the Honda Odyssey. So good to see that it's selling. It's sold 70,000 units this year. The Sienna has sold 75,000 units. So it'll be fun to see how close they're going to be at the end of the year as we come into Q4. What about the Honda Pilot? This is worrisome. Well, I skipped the Passport. We'll come back to the Passport. The Honda Pilot's worrisome. This vehicle used to sell a crap ton for Honda, and they have not clipped 100,000 units yet this year like they did last year. It's down 8% on the year, 18% down on the month. Why? Why is it down? Well, some people don't need 3 rows of seats and they don't want a CRV. And so that's where the new Passport, which is up 120% on the month and up 75% on the year, comes in. All right. So if we look, the Passport is up 2,400 units. All right. The Pilot is down about 2,000 units. And the Odyssey is down about 500 units. So it's like they've taken some production volume away from Odyssey and Pilot and given it to Passport. I don't know if it's as simple as that, but the numbers shake out to be that way. So the Passport's doing really well for Honda. They seem to be allocating more production for the Passport. Let's get into the Prologue. Now, these numbers are through the roof. Look at the number. The numbers on the year for the Prologue are up 160%. They've sold 36,000 units of the Prologue, which is almost as much as the Passport. And it is essentially the same as the Ridgeline, which Ridgeline should be officially discontinued in the next year or so. That's what I'm expecting anyways. Has not been communicated by Honda that the Ridgeline is going away, but it seemingly is. The Prologue on the month is up 21%. Why? Why is it up? Well, not only is it up massively on the year, but it's up on the month because of the EV tax credit. Okay. The Honda Prologue isn't going anywhere either. It is not being discontinued, unlike the Acura ZDX. So the Prologue will continue on. There's a 26 model coming. We're still waiting for the Honda 0 Series SUV in the meantime. Now, here's the deal. We see 36,000 sold of the Prologue this year so far, and it's going to, who knows what the fourth quarter is going to be without the EV tax credit. This vehicle, even though it's being greenlit for another year, don't expect it to come anywhere close to this 36,000+ next year. The lack of EV tax credit, it might not sell very well next year. Time will tell. Maybe they reduce the price or give you crazy lease deals. I don't know. It's going to be tough for Honda to do that when they're already losing money on their EVs, when the EV tax credit is still in effect. Now it's not. Who knows what's going to happen to the Honda Prologue in terms of success. Their numbers are high, but it is not a winning formula for Honda. The Ridgeline, already covered that. It's up on the year, down on the month. Who knows when it's going to be officially killed. Honda, what are they doing with their hybrids? I like how they break out their hybrid sales here. I mean, Toyota does too. I didn't even cover Toyota hybrid sales. I typically will do that in different videos. But Honda here, 10% down on the Accord on the month, 5% down on the year. The Civic hybrid, remember, it's kind of a new hybrid for Honda, at least this generation. I know we've had Civic hybrids in the past, but it was reintroduced. And in fact, you have just as many Civic hybrids being sold as Accord hybrids. They don't use the same hybrid system. On paper, they're nearly identical in terms of output, but the Accord has, the motors are offset, if I remember correctly, and in the Civic, they're parallel. All right. So the Civic hybrid has sold 66,000 this year, which is more than the Accord Pretty mind-blowing, but this is good to see. All right, if we look at what kind of percentage that is of the Civic total, they're at about 35-36%. If we go back to Toyota here, it's hard to compute the Corolla. I would have to include probably the Prius numbers in there as well. It seems like if you add Prius and Corolla numbers together, their hybrid penetration is like 39%. And maybe that's the sweet spot of what the market wants right now or what the market can afford. CRV hybrid down 3.1% on the month, up 13% on the year. All right, let's move into Acura. I haven't looked at these numbers yet, and I'm just kind of preparing myself because it's been like a massive slide for Acura. And I've made so many videos on how I'm just like disheartened for the brand, and they have no like savior coming at all. The RSX is not the savior for Acura. You know what? It might actually be the opposite. Time will tell though. All right. The Integra down 23% on the year, up 3% on the month, but it's selling at a worse clip than it was last September. Not looking good. TLX, it's only up because it's discontinued and they're just getting rid of them. And, you know, some desperate TLX fans out there are getting their hands on them before they're gone forever. Production has stopped on it. So ADX, you know, here's the crazy thing. The ZDX is dead. ZDX is dead, completely dead. So even though it has sold 300% of what it sold last year, look at its sales this month. They sold 395. There are no more ZDXs out there. There are very few remaining. They've all been sold off. Acura's happy to kill them off now that they're not penalized by CAFE or EPA as much. They don't need this car around anymore. They were losing so much money on it. Incentivizing it to the moon. You could lease a ZDX oftentimes for like as much as a CRV. Like and it costs like over two times as much. Like it was absolutely bonkers how much money they were losing on a ZDX. All right, so now it's gone. Acura's up 2%. They're up 2,000 units. If you take away the 12,000 units of the ZDX, they're down 10,000 units versus last year. ZDX and TLX, because the TLX is gone next year too. Holy cow. So you take away 18,000 units. You take that away, and Acura is down massively next year already. And they're going to close out the year negative. It's possible because there's no more TLX or ZDX to prop up their numbers. ADX, there's a ton of availability out there. It is selling well. Look, it's their second best selling vehicle. It's outselling the the RDX. Not on the year, but on the month it is. All right, and this is what's worrisome. There's so many worrisome things. Integra being down on the year massively. TLX gone. ADX is the least Acura in the lineup, and it is saving the company's bacon right now. You have the MDX and RDX, which are traditionally the best-selling models. They are fun to drive for their segment. They do provide something unique. The RDX is really old, though, and this is where Acura is in trouble. The RDX has nothing to offer customers that it hasn't offered for the last 6-7 years. It's the same vehicle. They never gave it a hybrid. They never gave it a Type S. They never given it a big refresh. It's due for a redesign. And all we have coming is a fully electric RSX maybe a year from now. That's not what current RDX owners are probably looking for. It is down 25% on the year, but it's been sliding worse the past few months. Last month it was down over 40%. This month it's down almost 50% as well. And I just don't know what's going to happen to this car. If the RDX fails, which it is failing, Acura's failing. If the MDX is failing, 100% Acura is failing because this is traditionally always their best-selling model. Let's put this into perspective. Lexus being the gold standard here. RDX is down 46%. The Lexus NX is up 3.1%. The MDX is down 12.5% on the month. It competes with two different vehicles for Lexus, so let's see how it's competing relatively. It competes against the RX, which is kind of neutral, up 1%, but it's selling at a worse clip. And then you have the TX, which has sold 4,400 units. If we go back to Acura, The MDX sold 2,800 units. If you're Acura, you're sitting here thinking, this is the segment we've owned. We created this segment, the luxury 3-row segment, and we are getting our butts handed to us by this newcomer rebadged Toyota Grand Highlander called the Lexus TX. They're absolutely getting mopped by it. Acura has no rebuttal. They have no hybrid to go against a TX. And here's the TX that just trademarked a new powertrain to give you guys more affordable and more fuel efficient Lexus 3-row crossover. Meanwhile, the earliest we could have an MDX hybrid is 2027, 2028. And what is Acura going to do with this MDX? Well, the plan was for Honda to have 0 Series 3-row SUVs. So fully electric 3-row. But Honda pulled the plug on it, seeing that even though that there are really good 3-row family crossovers out there like the Ioniq 9, the EV9, people aren't buying them. They're too expensive. And families that need to go on road trips don't want to have to deal with nannying a car on top of the multiple kids that they have. All right, in terms of charging or rest style, like all that. So you guys know what I mean. All right, so the MDX doesn't have a high fuel economy option. It has a high performance option that gets 17 miles per gallon. That's like worse than the Hemi pickup truck that I'm driving right now. So MDX is in trouble. They just refreshed it for the 25 model year and the sales have continued to go down. The refresh has had the opposite effect that you want a refresh to have. It's supposed to boost your sales. Acura, there's nothing in Acura right now to get hope over. The RSX is not hope. They need hybrids and they need more fun to drive cars, and they don't have either coming down the hatch. Okay, they have maybe electric and fun electric driving cars, but that's not going to save the brand, not in the near term. And no EV tax credit to help out the RSX either. So you have these numbers for Acura that say they're doing okay, but in reality, they are not. Their best sellers are down immensely. The ZDX and TLX are discontinued. This little ADX is the tugboat for the brand. It's got a bad powertrain. Everything else about it's fine. Like, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's comfortable, good features. I like the ADX. If they put the 2-liter hybrid in it from the CRV or the ZRV and other places, they put the 2-liter hybrid from the Civic in there, it would instantly transform the car. But Honda and Acura are so, they've been caught with, I don't know, lack of a better term, they've been caught with their pants down, and they don't have a belt to keep their pants up. Their pants are going to keep sagging. Their sales are going to keep sagging and falling. And there's nothing that I've seen that will change that. I'm going to the Japan Mobility Show later this month, and I hope to meet with my comrades and colleagues and, you know, my PR contacts with Honda in Japan, because I have a great relationship with Honda and Acura. Acura, though, while I'm much more hopeful for Honda, Acura, on the other hand, if anything comes to save them, it might be too late. The damage is being done now. With all these negatives, all these cancellations. I'll see you guys in the comments. I wish I had good news for Acura, but Acura is going to continue to pull down Honda, not only in Q4, but I think entirely of 2026. It's not only very possible, but very likely for Acura to be souring Honda's numbers. And it's not like Honda is immune themselves from bad things happening. Okay, Acura is their biggest issue. You have hybrids in the CRV, the Civic, and the Accord. Okay, the Accord could be killed tomorrow, and I don't think very many people would care. It'd be sad. I would be sad. But the Civic is big now, and it's a better value vehicle than the Accord. All right. The Accord doesn't need to be around anymore. The Odyssey's old. The Passport's great. The Pilot, no hybrid. The Ridgeline is old, going to be discontinued. The Prologue is probably going to bleed Honda out of money. All right. The HRV doesn't have a hybrid. CRV would be doing better if it had a 10-speed auto, if it had a plug-in hybrid that wasn't a fuel cell. Like, there's a lot of areas of opportunity for Honda to improve, and they will. In the meantime, though, they're going to shrink. Their sales are going to go down. All right. The Passport can't carry all the large platform vehicles. All right. The Pilot's newer, but it's kind of behind the competition in terms of features, and it doesn't have a hybrid. Like, that is the name of the game. If you don't have competitive hybrids right now, you're going to just turn into Nissan. Maybe Honda has to turn into Nissan right now for body on frame. Maybe that's something that's going to happen. I don't know. Right now they're doing okay. A Honda end is especially doing okay, right? Again, Honda's still down about 4.5% on a selling rate on the month, but Acura is the one that could sour Honda's numbers for a long time to come here. Man, that hurts me to say. I'll see you in the comments. Stay tuned for more sales updates. I got to do Subaru, Mazda. I got to do Nissan. And lastly, I will cover the Koreans too, because they are formidable and they have really good products. So thank you guys. Catch you in the next one. Long live Honda, long live Acura. Let's hope for a miracle, especially for Acura. Peace.